Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something called the unseen loop. You can think of it as the hidden script that's kind of running your daily life. And more importantly, we're going to explore how you can actually learn to rewrite it.
So let me start with a question for you. What in the world could possibly connect that constant urge to check your phone, the way you might be slumping in your chair right now, and that little nagging voice inside your head? I mean, they seem totally random, right? But they all share a secret origin story.
And the answer is this. They're all run by a simple but incredibly powerful and mostly invisible force called the habit loop. This is basically the operating system running on autopilot in the background of your life.
And the way it works is surprisingly simple. It all starts with a cue. That's the trigger that tells your brain, hey, time to go into automatic mode. That cue then kicks off the routine, which is the behavior itself, the thing you do. And finally, you get the reward. That's the little payoff that tells your brain, yeah, that was good. This whole loop is worth remembering for next time. This three-step process, it's the engine behind every single habit you have, good or bad.
Okay, so let's see how this actually plays out in the real world. We'll start with something we are all way too familiar with, our digital default, that constant screen time habit. Now get ready for this number because it's just staggering. A study from Georgetown University found that the average American spends over 5 hours a day on their phone. Just let that sink in for a second. That adds up to 35 hours a week. That is literally the equivalent of a full-time job, just scrolling, tapping, and swiping. And all of this constant connection, well, it comes with a pretty hefty price tag. The research is really clear on this. It's linked to some serious negative mental health outcomes, including symptoms of anxiety and depression. It also robs us of, on average, 20 minutes of sleep every single night, and it absolutely wrecks our ability to focus.
So what's the reward part of this whole loop? What are we really chasing when we pick up our phones? Well, as psychology professor Kostadin Kushlev explains, we're after those short dopamine bursts, right? The cue might be a feeling of boredom or just a notification buzz. The routine is picking up the phone. And that reward is that tiny, super fleeting hit of pleasure you get from a new like, a funny video, or beating a level in a game.
Okay, so let's shift gears from our digital habits to our physical ones. Because this habit loop isn't just in our heads, it is literally shaping our bodies, especially when it comes to our posture. So just how common is this problem? Well, according to survey data, a crazy 55% of people feel back pain from sitting either every single day or at least a few times a week. And you can see the habit loop plain as day. The cue is sitting down at your desk. The routine is to slouch. And the reward? It's that brief and totally deceptive feeling of comfort. And where does that little reward of lazy comfort get you in the long run? Right here. The data shows that the overwhelming majority of that pain is concentrated in the lower back, what's known as the lumbar and sacral spine. This is the spot that takes the biggest hit from our bad posture habits. And the physical cost is just immense. A whopping 93% of people in the study have had sitting-related back pain. For almost half of them, it actually gets in the way of their daily life. And biomechanically, that rounded back routine increases the pressure on your spinal discs by up to 40%. But here's the real kicker. Out of all the people surveyed, not a single one said they always maintain correct posture. Our default setting is to slouch.
So far, we've looked at loops that we can pretty much see and feel. But the habit loop also operates on the most invisible battleground there is, our own minds. This is the thought loop, the nasty little habit of the inner critic. The routine in this case is something called automatic negative thoughts, or ANTs for short. And they're exactly what they sound like. They are these random, reflexive, negative thoughts about yourself that just pop into your head, completely outside of your conscious control. And man, they can be absolutely brutal. Thoughts like, I'm worthless, or my future is bleak. The cue might be something as small as making a tiny mistake at work. The routine is this destructive internal monologue. And the reward? Well, this one's tricky. It might be a false sense of control, or maybe just a way of confirming a negative belief you already have about yourself. But whatever it is, the research is clear. This mental habit is strongly linked to serious issues like depression and social anxiety. Okay, so we've seen how these loops can work against us digitally, physically, and mentally. The big question is, what can we actually do about it? Well, the good news is you can rewrite the code. And this brings us to what author Charles Duhigg calls the golden rule of habit change. And this is the secret sauce right here. The crucial insight is that you don't fight the cue and you don't try to get rid of the reward. You keep both of them. The only thing you change is the routine that's sandwiched in the middle.
This is so important. It's worth saying again. You don't eliminate the habit. You redesign it. You're not trying to scrub a habit from your brain, which is pretty much impossible. Instead, you become an architect of your own behavior. You're just swapping out one piece of the puzzle. And here's what your new toolkit could look like. To redesign that digital habit, that Georgetown study suggests really simple changes. Start charging your phone outside of the bedroom to break that morning scroll routine. For your physical habit, the posture study recommends a new routine. Just change your position every 30 minutes. Stand up, stretch. And for your mental habit, the research on those ants points to mindfulness as a new routine, to just observe and restructure those thoughts instead of letting them spiral. Okay, one final idea, and this one is a real game changer. Some habits are just more powerful than others. They're called keystone habits. These are the small wins that create a positive chain reaction, spilling over and improving other totally unrelated parts of your life. You know, something as simple as making your bed every morning or going for a 5-minute walk each day.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. As you look at the different loops running in your own life, what is the one small change, the one keystone habit that if you really focused on it could start a cascade and maybe change everything else?